everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are doing another cooking episode with the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge book. We have our lovely Pampered Chef sponsor with us again. We will have the link in the description below for her storefront. If you want to support the channel and want some Pampered Chef stuff, feel free to go ahead and click that link and shop. You do not have to, but it does help us out.
If you have any questions about any of the products that you see in the video, there is also a contact me link on that Pampered Chef link. So feel free to ask any questions you have.
The cool thing about today's recipe is that it's the one on the cover. We are making Ronto wraps and Ronto wrappers. So the wraps is the end product, the wrappers is the bread product. So we will have two steps for you. The first little section will be prepping the dough for the Ronto wrappers. I keep thinking Ronto wrappers. And then the second part of this video is actually making it all together. So make sure you stay along for all of it. So without further ado, let's get started.
Let's get cooking. I'm going to start out by making the dough for the Ronto wrappers. So we'll make the dough for it first. It does have to rise for an hour. So we'll come back once the dough has risen and we'll go ahead and finish the rest of the recipe. So are you ready to get started?
Yep.
All right. To make the dough, you're going to need 3/4 cups of warm water. It is important for the water to be warm, otherwise your yeast won't be activated correctly. A tablespoon of olive oil, a teaspoon of brown sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of instant dry yeast, 2 cloves of garlic minced, 1 tablespoon of mixed dry herbs such as savory or marjoram. I could be saying that wrong, I don't know. We've got these, the herbs from Provence mix that actually has some of those in there, as well as a few other spices. So if you're having a hard time finding that, that might be something to look for. And then lastly, you're going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, plus a little bit more for dusting for when you're going to knead the bread. So your first step here is in a medium bowl, so I'm going to bowl right here. Combine the water, olive oil, brown sugar, salt, and yeast. So almost all the ingredients, toss them in the bowl. We've got the warm water here. It is still warm. And then, do we need...
1 tablespoon.
Let's do our dry ingredients first. For our adjustable measuring spoon, just so that our wet ingredients don't stick to it. So we need to do the brown sugar, salt, and yeast. Brown sugar was a teaspoon, salt was, that a half teaspoon? And then yeast is also a teaspoon. We're going to use our other one actually, so I guess we could have used this on the oil. Adjustable measuring spoons come in 2 different sizes and they come as a pair together. So the one goes from a teaspoon up to a tablespoon. And then the other, the smaller one, goes from 1/8 of a teaspoon up to 1 teaspoon. So if you want to use this to go ahead and measure the oil, and then I will measure the salt. It was a half teaspoon of salt, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Half a teaspoon of salt.
I love that we're going to be measuring, you can just set it right here. We're going to be measuring multiple ingredients and only using 2 measuring spoons and not having to use a different measuring spoon for every single thing. So I really like that about this set. And then we've got our flexible cutting mat here that we're going to be using as a prep surface today. Those come in a set of 3. So this is just one of them.
1 teaspoon of brown sugar.
1 teaspoon of brown sugar.
Make sure you show that thing inside.
Yeah, this is another really cool Pampered Chef tool that we've got. This is the brown sugar keeper. So you can see it's got the PC logo on it right there. Kind of got some brown sugar stuck on it. A little hard to see maybe. But this is a terracotta tile, which you basically soak in water for a little bit. You let it, you towel dry it, just so that it's not dripping wet, right? And you put this in your brown sugar, and your brown sugar stays nice and soft. Take a look at this. I'm going to use my spoon to show you how soft that is. Like, normally this would be as hard as a rock, not that. Normally it wouldn't be that soft. Normally it would be hard as a rock. I'll take that out so I can kind of spoon it. See, it's pretty soft in there. You do have to moisten your terracotta tile every once in a while. Mine could probably use some more water just to kind of help get that soft. But there is no stabbing it with a knife or trying to get this massively hard block of brown sugar down to, you know, the nice flaky texture that you know and love. It's ready to use right now. So how much did we need?
1 teaspoon.
1 teaspoon. So I'm going to move this up to the teaspoon mark. Oops, kind of knocked some out of there, and there we go. Try not to pack it down. I'm just trying to do a loose measurement, which is also a lot easier when you have moist brown sugar.
And then 1 teaspoon of the yeast.
And then we need 1 teaspoon of the yeast. So, okay. You want to grab me the scissors? And a little snip snip. It is important to know that this is instant yeast or fast-acting yeast. That was what it called for in the recipe. Axel, buddy, hey, relax. You're fine. Sorry, sometimes Axel gets excited about the silliest of things. There might not even be anything there, but... Okay, so we've got 1 teaspoon of the instant yeast, so I'm going to sprinkle that in there. Now we're going to grab a spoon. So combine all of these, and then what's next?
Right, add the garlic and herbs, and gradually mix in flour until the dough isn't too sticky.
Okay. Okay, so garlic, we're still trying to use up our jar of garlic here. If you ever have a hard time opening jars, another really great tool is, oh, I put it in a different cabinet. One moment. Sorry, I'm still rearranging the kitchen. But the jar opener, the Pampered Chef jar opener, is another really great tool. I usually struggle like crazy opening up this garlic jar. It just happened to be easy today. But this tool makes it open so easy. Sometimes they've even used it for like crushing Oreos, to be perfectly honest. So it's a multi-use tool. And it has mounting bracket points, so you can mount it underneath your cabinet so then nobody can ever see it. But alright, that's a side story, I guess. Just another one of my favorite tools. We need how much garlic?
2 cloves.
2 cloves, and 1 clove is about a half teaspoon, so we need 1 teaspoon worth. Are we doing how much of the herbs do we need?
1 tablespoon.
Okay.
Yeah. Half of this.
Does it say fresh? No, it says dried.
Oh.
If it called for fresh, that is when you would do a half of the ingredient amount. If you're doing, like if it calls for fresh and you're using a dry herb. But if it calls for dried, then you can just do a 1-to-1 ratio. So there's our garlic. curious how this is going to end up tasting with all of these. It's sticking a little bit because of the oil in there. That's okay. There. But I'm really curious between the salt and the brown sugar, and then you've got all these herbs in here too, and the garlic. You know, it's going to have some interesting flavors going on. Oh, sorry.
Let's see. 2 cups of flour.
Okay, so we'll get rid of these. We're going to move our yeast out of the way. And then,
2 cups.
but does it say slowly or anything? I thought.
Gradually mix in the flour until you have a dough that isn't too sticky.
Yeah, so we're gonna go, this one's 1 cup. Alright, so we've got 1 cup here. And maybe you wanna stir while I slowly add? So that was 1 cup. We're making a Star Wars dish, so we gotta use some of our Star Wars kitchen utensils too, right? So we've got our BB-8 measuring cup here. Move that back out of the way. You didn't see that.
The force wasn't with me on that one.
You want me to take a turn?
Yeah. Lightly floured surface.
So you're gonna want to just cover the whole mat. Yeah, it's still a bit sticky in here, so I'm just trying to, really the spoon wasn't cutting it for me. I'm trying to turn it and get all those sticky spots coated in the flour. Here, can you scoot the book? There.
We're almost to the end here.
It's getting to be more like a dough. It's just still a little, what did it say for sticky? That isn't too sticky. Well, it's not too sticky. It's just a little sticky. So it's probably ready for the next step here. Can you just...
Turn out onto a lightly floured surface, then knead for a minute or 2 until the dough is soft and bounces back when poked.
Okay. Did you have any interest in kneading the dough?
Not necessarily.
No.
You already got your hands all dirty getting there.
You want to move my bowl then? And we'll just kind of take this and move this back to the front of the frame.
so then it says place the dough in a clean bowl. So unless you cleaned the previous one, don't put it back in there. Cover lightly with plastic wrap or a damp kitchen towel and set in a warm place to rise for about 1 hour or until it has doubled in size. So here is a clean bowl.
Thank you. I'm poking it because it said
It's bouncing back.
It said to poke it and see if it bounces back, and I think it's bouncing back. So I think this is good. So there's our nice dough. It's got a very interesting smell to it. I don't know. I almost want to say the smell is savory, and I don't mean that in terms of the spice. I just mean that in terms of, like, it doesn't smell too sweet. It just kind of smells like dinner time to me. I don't know. Are you smelling it?
It smells interesting, but it smells kind of good in a way. It reminds me of the thing that Rey made in The Force Awakens, but I know it's not quite that because I know that recipe, I believe, is in here. But it kind of looks like it. It's like her instant mashed potatoes looking thing that she made.
I thought it was a biscuit.
Well, it might have been a biscuit. We gotta cover it here. Plastic wrap.
Doesn't it say lightly wrap?
Yeah, I guess so. There's a little air pocket.
Okay, yeah, that should be alright.
Set in a warm place to rise for about an hour or until it doubles.
I'm just scooting this over so there's a little bit less air. There you go. So, there you have it. There is our dough. And we're going to let that baby rise, and we'll bake it later. We're going to be doing those Ronto wraps now that our dough is ready. I am going to go ahead and get this shared over to my VIP group, and then we will get started. If you're not a part of my VIP group, definitely be sure to check it out. That is where you will see different raffles. I'm going to have some new ones going on very, very soon. As well as all of our different promotions that we have going on. I'll be sure to have them included in there. I copy-pasted something I didn't copy, apparently. So, alright. Ronto wraps. Where's our recipe? Okay. So if you missed our video making the Ronto wrapper dough, you can definitely go ahead and check that out. Just basically we had to make the dough, had to sit for an hour, and so here we are. I got that shared over there now, so we'll get this out of the way. Oh, and I do have Jeremy here with me too. Okay, so we're going to be making the Ronto wraps. That's another recipe from the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge cookbook. It's the one that's right on the front cover. We started making the Ronto wrappers dough, right? So now we're going to finish this recipe and finish making those actual wrappers. And then we will also make the Ronto wraps, which use those Ronto wrappers. So, first thing, we're going to go ahead and finish up the Ronto wrappers, basically the tortilla-looking things, right? And then we will move on to the Ronto wrap. So we'll cook the meat and stuff for the Ronto wrap at the same time that this cooks. But first, we got to make sure this is ready to be cooked, right? So, all right, so on the Ronto wrappers, so once the dough has risen, for about an hour or until doubled in size. So there's kind of a size comparison for you. We're going to go ahead and take this saran wrap off. It's definitely gotten a lot bigger than when we saw it earlier. There's another good shot for you. So you can see that. Divide the dough into 6 equal balls and roll each one out to about a 1/4 inch thick. So I'm going to spread some, sorry, I got a lot of my tools on the counter ready here, but we're going to spread a little bit of flour on our prep surface that we were using earlier, just to kind of help prevent it from sticking, right? I don't know, maybe that much. Maybe put that on there because you got clean hands still. And I'm gonna just put them on a paper plate once we're ready. So I'm gonna take the dough.
How's it feel?
Mushy? I don't know. Kind of fun, like almost like Play-Doh. So we gotta divide this into 6. So I'm just gonna kind of smooth it out here, and we need a knife. We do have pastry tools with Pampered Chef. I just don't personally have any, so we're gonna do this the hard way and use a knife. I don't know, maybe like right here. So let's get this bowl out of the way. There's a good spot for that. And actually, I'm going to use our digital kitchen scale here to try to make sure that they're approximately all equal. I'm not going to be too fussy about it, but that way I kind of have an idea so that they cook about the same amount of time. So I'm going to put my paper plate on there. I'm going to tare it. So making it down to 0, we're using the unit of ounces, right? So now if we've got this and this. I guess I could have left that, that's okay. So I don't know, I'm just kind of guessing here for what equal sizes are, and we'll be able to tell. So, alright. Dough ball number 1, 4.27 ounces. Number 2, 2.89. So that's like an ounce difference. This one is 3.1, so he's kind of in the middle. This one's going to be small, I can tell. 2.4, so these ones are both a little small. This one was 3.3, and this one was 2.9. So if we take, let's just say this much off that big one there, maybe another little chunk. Alright, so that really big one's down to 3.2. I take one of those small blobs I just cut off and put it with one of my small ones. Now it's up to 303. And this one was my other small one with one of those little globs, and that one's going to be up to 335. So pretty close. That's close enough. I feel good with using that. So we'll move that scale out of the way. I'm going to keep my paper plate here. Turn our scale off. And then kind of scoop these all aside. All right, and one at a time, we have to roll these. Yeah, roll each one out until it's about a 1/4 inch thick. I'm going to tell you guys something a little embarrassing. We don't have a rolling pin. So, if you don't have a rolling pin, you got to make do with what you got, right? So, I am actually going to use the tamper from my deluxe cooking blender. I'll just use this portion of it. It's the closest thing I have to a rolling pin, so we're going to make it work. It's something that I've thought about buying for quite a long time, but I just don't bake enough, or haven't baked enough in the past to really need one. Or anytime I have baked, it's when I'm at somebody else's house who happens to have one, so I haven't really come into needing that yet, but we'll make it work. Right?
Right.
So I'm just trying to do nice, even motions. Spreading that out.
Pretty good.
I feel like that's probably about a 1/4 inch thick. I use my placemat here. No, that's more like a 1/2 inch thick. It's still pretty thick, I guess. We gotta go thinner.
Alright, those babies are good to go.
I'm just going to dust the flour off here because we will keep using this prep mat. That's pretty good.
So those will go on 3 to 5 minutes per side.
Yep, we'll go ahead and get the first batch started. I'm just going to do 2 at a time because it's a double burner, right? So... I've got a ham pancake flipper that Pampered Chef had last summer, so we'll use that to flip over our Ronto wrappers. I'm hoping Pampered Chef brings back more Disney merch because I thought that one was pretty cool. But alright, let's go ahead and get started with the Ronto wraps and getting that stuff prepped so that that's all ready to go. So heat the oil in a large saute pan and add the onion. So we're gonna have to prep the onion first, right? And then add the pork and I forgot to go over the ingredients list with you guys. Let's back up a step here. So 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 1/2 of a medium yellow onion diced, 1/2 pound of ground pork, 6 ounces of chorizo sausage with the casing removed. We swapped that out. We're just going to be doing regular pork sausage because we're not a big fan of things that are super spicy in this house. But if you are, definitely go with the chorizo. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 14 ounces of tomato puree, which I actually found out at the store that is a real thing, is tomato puree. It's different than tomato sauce or paste. You're going to need some salt and pepper, the Ronto wrappers, which we're cooking right now, and then 1 cup of guacamole for serving. Now neither one of us are really fans of guacamole, so we'll skip that step. But if you like guacamole, definitely you're going to want that to complete. That's the green topping on the top of that there. So, you took my spot. So we gotta get our onion diced. We've got our 1/2 onion here. You're gonna want to cut it into a quarter. And then we've got our manual food processor here. So it's got a triple blade inside. Sits right in there. You go ahead and put your onion items, or like onion, tomato. I've done strawberries for like a strawberry puree. Whatever, you can just leave it. Whatever items you want to dice that are of, I'm going to say, a medium hardness to soft. If you're trying to do things like potatoes, those are going to be too hard. Apples, those are going to be too hard. But like onions, those are pretty soft. Strawberries, other fruits, tomatoes, those are all things that are relatively soft, so this can definitely handle those. You're going to want to line up the center with your the center for the blades. You'll see that this sits flat. When you do, it's got a lock here, so we're going to unlock it. And then go ahead and give it some pumps on the handle until it's the desired diced amount that you want. The more that you pump it, the more it's going to dice it. So that looks like it's pretty minced.
That looks great.
Now, how long do you think that would have taken you if you used a knife?
way too long. Probably would have quit.
So our onion's now ready.
Alright, so now we have to heat the oil in a large saute pan or skillet or a medium heat and add this onion and cook until soft for several minutes. So we'll probably let it cook for a side of a Ronto wrap or something like that. You want to tell them about this guy?
Sure, in just a second. I'm gonna check on our Ronto.
30 seconds.
Still doing good. It was starting to come up a little bit and rise, so I wanted to check that out.
Looking awesome.
We're gonna do our meat in our stainless steel nonstick skillet. It has a really cool pattern on the inside there. Check that out. So what that pattern is that you're seeing is all of the, here, I'll come a little closer. All of the silver portion is the stainless steel, and then the black portion of that pattern is the non-stick part of the stainless steel non-stick pan. So this is really good for doing browning meats because it's got that stainless steel part of it, but it's also really good for doing like meats and then a sauce with it because it's got that non-stick property. So it's not going to really be that hard to clean. It's actually very easy to clean. So this is I believe this is the 10-inch size. It does come with a glass lid. We're not going to use that today just because our recipe doesn't need a lid. But it does come with it, just for your knowledge. So yeah, that's the stainless steel non-stick skillet that we're going to be using. That way we can get a nice brown on the meat, and then when we mix in the tomato puree, it is puree, isn't it? Yep, so when we mix in the tomato puree, we won't have to worry about it sticking and being really hard to get off the pan. So there's that.
We're going to need 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil in there.
So he's just using that same adjustable measuring spoon that we used earlier when we were making the Ronto wrappers. Trying to cut down on dishes, right? So nobody likes doing dishes. I know I don't. He doesn't either.
No.
While he's getting that ready, let's go ahead and take out our pork and chorizo, or your pork sausage, right? And we'll go ahead and get that ready. So I'm just dusting my scale off here. Oops. And I'm going to scoot this aside. Alright. We'll turn this on. I'm going to tear it with my glass bowl on there. And we need half a pound of pork, so I'll get the pork out.
The onion goes in with the pan and the vegetable oil.
You're gonna need something to cook with anyway, right?
Yes. Pan for check.
It's part of our multicolored utensil collection. Comes with 4 utensils. It's 2 spoons and 2 spatulas. I don't think this knife will be strong enough to cut this open. Nope, I'm gonna need a knife. Our meat, we're looking for a half pound. This package is a pound, so I'm just going to cut this in half and see what that looks like as far as how much. I'm trying to keep my surfaces clean. So you can change the unit on this from pounds to ounces to grams. I'm leaving it in ounces right now because I know we're gonna have to measure ounces for the chorizo. So that's 5 1/4 ounces. Half a pound is 8 ounces, so that's what we're aiming for. Alright, 8.04, that's pretty good. So, I'm gonna wash my hands here. If you have a moment, do you want to wrap that in saran wrap? Or actually, I guess, if you want to grab a bag instead, I'm sorry, a freezer bag. I'll stick it in a freezer bag. I don't know why I bothered washing my hands. I'm just going to stick this in the bag. There you go. Is that for these? Ooh, I got a little burn.
A little toasty.
Oh, that one got pretty burnt.
We're gonna dial back the time a little bit.
I'm gonna turn the heat down a little bit too. I think the time's probably fine, the heat's probably too much. So we're gonna turn it from 4 to 3. I was wondering, that was starting to smell a little toasty.
It's all good though.
Alright. So we've got our pork sauce, or our ground pork. Now we need our chorizo, our ground pork sausage. So I just got regular, original pork sausage. I need my knife back. And then we're going to need a bag for this one too. They want 6 ounces of this one. So 6 plus the 8 is already in there. That's 14. Otherwise, ooh, I could go ahead and tear it again. So now we just got to count to 6. Makes it easy if you have kids that are trying to help you in the kitchen that maybe, kids can help at a very young age, even before they learn how to count really. So if you have them helping you, this way they don't have to worry about learning to count. Nice way for them to be able to start helping at a very early age. Child labor, right? Just kidding. Let's see, that's 3. We're gonna have to keep going. Ooh, that's way too much.
Okay, I got a bag.
Let's go ahead and cut this open. Set our knife aside here. We're at like 8.5 ounces of pork sausage. I'm trying to get to 6, so some of that's definitely going to have to come out. I want to make sure we label these bags too.
I almost dropped it.
I would have made a big splat if you did.
Wouldn't be the first time I made a big splat in the kitchen.
Jeremy is known for making messes in the kitchen sometimes. That's why I'm here to help.
Long story short, don't drop frozen Diet Pepsi on the ground.
Alright, let's 7 ounces, so we still got to take out quite a bit more. 5.5.
There you go.
6. Oh, it said 6 on the dot. I was so close. Now it's at 6:03. All right, 6:03. We're calling that good. I'm gonna wash my hands.
Like the price is right when the wheel just barely goes past what you need. You gotta mix that up.
It's just all gonna cook in the pan, but you're starting to burn.
So I turned it down. That one's still on the same. Who needs it? Alright. We'll make it about 3 minutes. That seems to be about it.
Yeah, it does say cooking those wraps for 3 to 5 minutes.
Probably depends on the thickness, but we're learning it's about 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn the heat down even more. It did say medium heat, but those onions are done.
I know, I need to mix that in with it.
Oh, why didn't you say so?
I've been waiting.
Well, put it in there. Here you go. You wanna scoot to the side so you can see what you're doing? Move your handle. There you go. Alright, so he's going to be mixing up that meat. Let's see what our next steps are. So add the meat to the pan, cook until it's all browned. So that's probably going to take a good 5 minutes at least. We'll turn our digital scale off here. What will be next after that? Adding brown sugar and tomato puree and cooking that for about 15 minutes more until the sauce is thick. So let's get started while he's doing that with measuring out our tomato puree, because we need 14 ounces and this is a 29-ounce can. That's all that we could find when we were at the store. So actually we're still going to use our kitchen scale here. So one of the cool things is that it doesn't have memory of what you were measuring last. So when I tear the scale to whatever bowl I'm using and I turn it off and I bring it back out next time to use it, it automatically starts again at 0. So I don't have to worry about like, why is it saying a certain number or anything. It's just right back to 0. So I don't know. Just something cool. But we've got that, and we're gonna tear that to our new bowl. We gotta open up our can here because there's no pull tab. So I'm gonna use the Pampered Chef seamless can opener. Or, I'm sorry, it's the smooth edge can opener. And you'll see what I mean by that in a moment. But we're gonna put this down just right on the outside edge. We're gonna turn clockwise. You should feel it lock in so it's hooked onto that can. You can see, even though this is a really heavy can, I'm able to lift it just with the can opener because it's locked on there. We're going to turn it until we get all the way around the can. Don't be afraid to let it brown for a little bit.
Make sure to mix it in.
Is that for the bread?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, okay. Alright. Once it's gone all the way around, which you should be able to feel it loosen up a little bit. If not, you can just kind of see where on the can you started. And then you're going to unlock it, you're going to turn counterclockwise. That way it unlocks your can opener from the can. And then we're going to use this button right here, all right, to engage this little hook right here. You can see it kind of pinch. I'm going to come closer so you can see that better. See the little pinchers right here? So we'll use that to pick up the edge of this can, pull that up. Now look at that. There is no sharp edge on there. That is a smooth edge. There's also no sharp edge here. That is also a smooth edge. So really nice tool for when you're doing, really for anybody. I mean, it's especially nice for kids because then they're not going to cut themselves, but even for adults because you're not going to cut yourself. And it also has this little tab right here. So if you do have a can that has a pull tab, or even a pop can with a pull tab, right? And let's say you have nice nail polish on, or you just cut your nails, and so it's really hard to pull that tab. You can use this little tool on the side here to pull that tab up. So multi-use.
Starting to get it brown here.
Maybe some Mexican shell is actually brown. Yeah, alright, let's go ahead and spoon this out. We need 14 ounces. I'm going to actually turn this around and let's move this up where you guys can see. Let's get this out of the way. I'll put that right about there. Actually, I did pick it up, so I'm going to turn it off and turn it back on again, just to rebalance it. So, alright, we're at 0. Alright, we got 14 ounces. Looks like a spoonful is about 1. 2, 3. I could probably just scoop this out the edge. Here, we'll try this. Please don't be messy. You gotta be slow when you're doing it this way though, because you don't want to accidentally pour too much and have to scoop it back in. Alright. So we are at 14.11 ounces. That's pretty close. I'm going to call that good enough. We'll put our puree can out of the way here. And then the other thing that we're going to put in with the puree is the brown sugar. And we need 2 tablespoons of that. So I'll bring the brown sugar back out. We're done measuring. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of that. Top this off. I did go ahead in between this video and the last one, re-moistened my terracotta tile just to help bring back some more moisture in there. I'm going to, I'm going to rinse this out just because we used it for the oil and I don't want to get oil in my brown sugar. So stay tuned. We'll probably need to drain the liquid out of that. Just an FYI, it is possible for it to be done before the liquid's gone.
See, the only thing left is throw that in there and let it cook 15 minutes.
Sure. Alright, so that's nice and dry. 2 tablespoons. Too much. Put my terracotta tile back in there. Alright, so we need to drain the meat to get some of that grease out of there. We'll be adding our sauce after that. Is the meat ready? Like, is it done?
Pretty close.
We'll mix it when we put it in here.
It's looking pretty good. Absolutely pink. What do you think?
No, I think it's done. Let's use the mix and chop on this. Alright, our meat is done cooking. I'm going to drain some of the oil because it is still pretty greasy. I really like that even though it's stainless steel, the handle stays pretty cool. It's not very hot. Like, I'm not struggling to hold it or anything. It's pretty cool. Can I have a spatula?
The wraps are complete.
You want to show 'em? Oh, you took my spoon rest away.
That's again.
Oh, gotta turn off both burners.
There's the wrap part of the Ronto.
Oh, hot. Very interesting texture. It reminds me a lot of a flatbread. Alright, we're gonna grab our mix and chop tool. Our meat's cooked, but in case you can't see from there, it's in very big chunks. So the mix and chop, the first main use for this, right, is to mix and chop up your meat, right? But there's a lot of other different things that you can use this for, like tomato purees or fruit, like if you're doing like a fruit sauce or juice concentrate or mashed potatoes, right? I find it's easiest when you kind of have it all in a big clump and then you start chopping until it gets into smaller pieces. Instead of keeping it spread out. It gets a little bit hard to chop that way. So if you have it all in a big pile, that'll definitely help you out. I've tried one of the ones that you find just at the regular grocery store, and it's really, that one compared to this one is the grocery store one that I found is not that sharp. It's hard to use because it barely cuts anything. Compared to the Pampered Chef one that is quite a bit sharper, and it definitely cuts down and grinds up your meat. So there is a difference in the quality there.
That's good.
I think we're pretty good there. Look at that. A lot finer ground up there. So we'll go ahead and put this back on the burner. And then you can start the next step.
So our last step here is to pour in the tomato brown sugar mixture into there, and then let it cook there for about 15 minutes. Basically, you're waiting for the sauce to get thick and mixed in throughout to make it look nice. Do you want to show them a picture of what it's supposed to look like?
Sure. So there's the final product picture from the cookbook. Reminds me a lot of, I think it's going to be pretty similar to a Sloppy Joe. That's kind of what my guess is. So So yeah, that's really the last step, is to finish making the meat, stirring in with the sauce. We'll go ahead and break those Ronto wraps.
Paper chef.
Oh, using a different paper chef tool. It's another one of the multicolored kitchen utensil set. Might as well show you the other two since he's shown you two of them. So he showed you the blue spatula, the orange spoon. You also get this green spatula and this blue slotted spoon. So that's part of that multicolored kitchen utensil set. But yeah, we'll finish making that mixture, and then we will fold up those Ronto wraps, fill them with our meat mixture, and then serve and enjoy. Or if you have guacamole, if you're a fan of guacamole, you can add that on there too.
Alright everybody, that about wraps up for us today. We made Ronto wraps from the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge cookbook. Again, that's right there on the cover. We had our Pampered Chef person with us today. Again, her link is in the description below. If you want to go ahead and support us, just click the link, pick out whatever you want, and then it helps us directly, and we greatly appreciate that. Make sure to turn on notifications, that way you are alerted when more cooking videos drop. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, drop us a like if you like the video, and drop us a comment letting us know, did this look good to you? Have you tried this at the parks? We are looking forward to doing that when we get to go. And then, as always everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.